students, this is Kalbe Abbas and I'm here with another lecture on entrepreneurship. As you know that in the previous class we have started our discussion on business model canvas. And in that very lecture, we have not only discussed that why we need to develop business model canvas, but we have also discussed two very major components of the business model canvas. So as I have explained you in the previous lecture, that business model canvas basically gives us a very visualized image of our business model. And it gives us and it provides us an opportunity to not only easily develop our business model, but also improve it if we need some improvement in any component. Inshallah, in today's lecture, we would be discussing the 7 remaining components of the business model. And I'm very confident in that after listening to my today's lecture, you would be able to develop your own business model canvases for the business ideas and the business plans that you have submitted and developed. And at the end, you would be able to present your business model canvases as well. So please listen to this lecture very, very carefully, because a presentation is coming ahead and you would be requiring all the information that I would be sharing with you in this lecture to not only develop that presentation, but also present it with very confidence and with zeal. So the very first component that we are going to discuss today is that of the channels. And channels is basically the third component of the business model canvas. In the channel block, the organization is basically going to define that how it is going to communicate and reach out to the customers. Channels are basically those touch points that let your customers know that where they can connect with the company. Channel also play a very major role in raising the awareness from regarding the product and the services among the customers. It helps you deliver your product and services to the customers. And on the other hand, channel also provide the opportunity to the customers to buy or to reach out to the company as well. It also provides this opportunity to the organizations that they can create an environment where the organization and the customers can engage in post-purchase feedbacks and post-purchase discussions as well. So channel should always be selected according to the market segment and the customers that you have chosen for you. For example, here I can give you the example of Levi's jeans. If you go and buy a Levi's jean, you are going to spend around 7,000 to 8,000 rupees on a single jeans, which means that this is a very expensive product. A customer that is going to buy such an expensive clothing item would expect an out-of-the-box kind of a channel as well. So that is why Levi's has designed its retail outlets that would let you know that what kind of environment or what kind of culture they want to promote and what kind of customers they are really going to target. On the other hand, if you want to go and buy a jeans that is of less price, you can find that kind of a jeans in all the retail outlets that are not in a very good locality, or they are not up to the mark as far as the ambience is concerned or overall appearance of the retail outlets is concerned. So as an organization, you can basically choose 2 different kinds of channels. The one channel that we call is owned channels. Owned channel basically means that the organization owns or they have a complete control on the retails and the channels through which they are going to communicate with the customers. For example, there are many organizations which are operating their own websites. Then there are many companies which are operating through different social media websites like Facebook or Instagrams. Even I have lots of people, lots of entrepreneurs in my circle that are operating their very small startups through Facebook pages and Instagram pages. Or you can have your own brick and mortar shops. So owned channels basically means that the organization have decided that they are going to start their own channel and they are going to use their own distribution and their own retail outlets in order to reach out to the customers. The second type of channel that an organization can use is that of the partner channels. Partner channels basically means that you are either a partner in the ownership of the retail outlet or the channel that you are going to use in order to reach to the customer, or you are in some sort of an agreement or partnership with some third party. Here I can give you the example of Daraz.pk. Daraz.pk provides this opportunity and platform not only to the customers to reach to the right sellers, but also to the sellers to reach to the right customers. There, if you want to sell something, you can have a contract and agreement with Daraz.pk and you can showcase all of your products on their platform, and the customers can reach there and they can engage with the platform that Daraz.pk has created, and then they can buy the product and or the services that you are selling there. So Daraz.pk is basically providing all the sellers a third party platform where they can showcase their products. Then there are lots of other retail outlets present all around you which can also showcase your products. For example, PepsiCo always uses a third-party retail outlet to sell their products. There is no specialized outlet where you can find Pepsi. Pepsi is always found in different restaurants, in retail outlets, in big shopping malls. So Pepsi has decided to not own their channel but to partner with all smaller retail outlets and to deliver and distribute their products. So the fourth component of the business model canvas is that of the customer relationships. And in customer relationships, we are basically going to discuss that what type of relationship you are going to maintain and develop with the customers. As I have explained you before, that in this very section we are going to discuss that what kind of relationship we are going to develop and maintain with our customers. In this very blog, we need to define all the strategies that we are going to use through which we are going to engage with the customers, and we are going to get in touch with the customers throughout the journey of that customers with our organization. So there are different types of customer relationship models that many organizations are using. For example, there are multiple organizations which are using personal assistance model. Personal assistance model basically means that you are going to interact either personally, in person, through email, through telephone, or through different mediums, but your relationship and your interaction with the customer is going to be very personal. Here I can give you the example of Hafiz Center and all the retail outlets that are there at Hafiz Center. If you want to buy something, you simply have to visit Hafiz Center, and there you would have a very personal discussion with the shopkeepers. You are going to inquire that whether they have that product that you require or not, and then you are going to very personally inspect the product there and then the whole relationship and interaction would be very personal in nature. On the other hand, if you are going to buy the same product from Daraz.pk, there the relationship or the interaction is not going to be very personal. There everything would be happening from a third party platform and from a distance. There is no personal interaction between you and the vendor, and you would be unable to personally inspect the product as well. Another model that organizations can use is that of dedicated personal assistants. In dedicated personal assistance, the organization basically dedicate a customer representative in order to help and sort all the issues that the customer has, or in order to provide all the information that customer wants to get. Here I can give you the example of all the telecommunication organizations. If you have any problem with any telecommunication vendor, any telecommunication company that you are using, you can simply call them, and their customer representative officer would let you know about all the issues and about all the information that you want to have. So you can either go for a personal assistance where you are going to have a very direct relationship, or you can also have a dedicated personal assistance where you are going to assign a person that is going to help respond to all the queries of the customers. Another model that organizations normally use is that of a self-service. Self-service basically means that in this kind of a model, the organization creates and provides all the facilities and all the platform that a customer requires in order to help himself. Here I can give you the example of lots of fast food chains that are even operating in Pakistan. For example, if you go to KFC, no one would come and take your order. You have to go to the reception and you have to place your order yourself, and then you have to take the food yourself as well. And then once you have taken the food, you can go and sit to a certain table, you can eat your food, and then you have to dispose of all the remaining food items as well. So here the KFC has created such an environment in which it is providing all the facilities and all the training to the customers that the customer can use in order to facilitate himself. The same model is being used by Daraz.pk as well. If you go to Daraz.pk, you can simply use their search bar in order to find the exact product and the right vendors that you want to buy. And once you have found the right product and the right vendor, you can simply follow very automated services and a very self-driven services in order to reach to the buying decision and to pay the price and to buy that very product. So many of the organizations nowadays have created such platform which have made the whole journey of the customers very automated. So as I was telling you, that many organizations have created such platforms where all the services and products can be reached automatically. The same is the case with the automated service customer relationship model. Here the organization basically includes all the automated processes and machinery that is going to help customers to perform services by themselves. For example, here I can give you the examples of all the ATM services that are operating in Pakistan. If you want to get some cash out of your bank accounts, you do not have to go to the teller and you do not have to submit a check. You simply have to go to the ATM and input the desired information, and you can get that cash out. So many of the organizations are now converting their services towards self-service and automated services, because it is less costly and it saves times both on the part of the organizations and on the part of the customers. Another model that many of the organizations are using nowadays is that of creating communities. You must have observed that lots of organizations and lots of companies create blogs and discussion platforms where customers can come and they can review their products. Those reviews and those discussions and those comments different customers leave there also help other customers to make the buying decisions. So lots of organizations are now creating those communities where all the customers can freely interact with one another. Here I can give you the example of a very famous community that is even operating in Pakistan. The name of that community is ESR, Eat, Sleep, Repeat. That particular community provides the platform for all the customers to review all the restaurants that they have visited in recent times, and there they can actually tell us that what kind of menu they offer, what is the level of services that they have, and that ESR provides the opportunity to not only to the restaurants to showcase their good services, but also to the customers when they are going to decide that what particular restaurant they are going to choose for their next outing. Another model that many of the organizations are using nowadays is that of co-creation. You must have visited lots of websites that provide you this facility of creating your own websites or creating your own posters. So basically what they are providing you is a platform where you can create services and you can create the product all by yourselves. Even personally, I have visited many of the organizations which provide us with the facilities to design our own logos for the organizations. They are basically providing us with all the facilities and platforms that we can use in order to create our own designed logos, or in order to create our own posters. This kind of a model is called model of co-creation. Many of the service organizations are also using this very model, because one of the problem in case of services is that services cannot be generated if the customer is not providing the right input. For example, if you go to an architect and you want him to design your house, he cannot start designing your house if you are not letting him know that what is the size of the piece of land that you have, what kind of house you want to get designed, how many bedrooms you want to have in that very house. So you need to engage more in case of services when it comes to production of the services. The fifth channel that we are going to discuss today about the business model canvas is that of the revenue streams. And in the revenue streams, we are going to decide and we are going to discuss that what kind of channels or what kind of opportunities the organization have in order to generate the revenue for the organization. So as I was telling you that in the revenue stream, the organization basically needs to define that how it is going to generate the revenue, the money, by selling the value proposition that it has to offer. In this very model, or in this very component, we are also going to discuss that how the organization is going to earn the value or earn the money by offering its value propositions. Now there are different types of models that organizations use in order to generate the revenues. One of the model that organizations use is that of the transaction-based revenues. Transaction-based revenues basically means that the customers or the organization is going to interact one time and they are going to make a transaction of a product or service with the money or the value that the customer is willing to pay. There are lots of organizations in Pakistan that are following transaction-based revenues. For example, if you want to buy a certain product, if you want to buy a jacket from a retail outlet, you can simply go to that retail outlet of your liking and you can pay the amount that is required, and you can get that jacket from that very retail outlet. So the transaction based models basically interact with the customers one time, and the customer pays the value of that product once and he becomes the owner of that very product. This model is also used in almost all of the retail outlets. For example, you can simply go to Hafiz Center, and if you want to buy a keyboard for your computer, you can just pay the amount that is equivalent to the value of that keyboard, and you can get that keyboard from the retail outlet. Another model that different organizations are using nowadays is that of recurring revenues. Recurring revenues basically means that rather than one-time payments, the payment is a continuous process, and you are basically into an ongoing payment process model, in which you would keep on continuing and you would keep on using the services or product of that very organization if you keep on paying a certain amount of money that is agreed upon between both the customers and the organization. Here I can give you the example of all the ISPs or internet service providers. For example, if you have a PTCL device at your place, every month you have to pay a certain amount of money. If you keep on paying that amount of money, you would keep on using their services. So there are different types of models that different organizations are using in order to generate the revenues. We can either go for transaction-based revenue models, which is a one-time transaction, or you can use recurring revenues, which provides you the facility of continuously paying or having a long-term relationships with the organizations. And now there are multiple types of ways in which the organizations can generate its revenues. For example, one of the most common way of generating revenue is that of asset selling. Asset selling basically means the company is selling its inventory, its products, and once the product is sold to some other customers, that customer becomes the owner of that asset. Another model or another way in which different organizations are generating revenues is that of usage fee. As I have given you the example in the previous slides as well, that if you have a device of PTCL, basically you are paying the fee of the usage of the services that PTCL is providing you. Or if you have a membership of the gym, you can keep on using the gym facilities if you keep on paying the usage fee of the facilities of that very gym. So usage fee basically means that you are charging the customers for the use of its products and services. Another model that many of the organizations are using nowadays is that of the subscription fee. Subscription fee basically defines, or in subscription fee, you can keep on charging the customers continuously for the usage of products and services. The basic difference between subscription fee and the usage fee is that the usage fee can be one-time affair, but the subscription fee is a continuous affair or continuous relationship with the customers. You can find many of the websites over the internet that offer their services in return of a certain usage fee or a certain subscription fee. There are lots of games also available on Play Store where you can subscribe with them, or you can buy their products online and you can pay a certain fee in order to get maybe some in-game purchases or some in-game add-ons that you can use in order to enhance your overall experience. Another way in which many of the organizations are generating their revenues are of lending, leasing, and renting. Lots of organizations, and especially property dealers, they basically use this revenue model in which they rent out a certain facility, they rent out a certain house, and in return of that, that customer basically pays a certain amount of money for keep on using those facilities and those services. Another model that is very common nowadays, especially in IT organizations, is that of licensing. In licensing, customers basically pay to get permission to use company's intellectual property. As I've told you that many of the IT organizations are nowadays using the licensing model in which they develop a software and then they give a license to a certain customers in order to use that very software. For example, Microsoft, Apple, Google have developed lots of softwares for which you have to pay a licensing fee in order to use the full and all the facilities of that very software. Another way in which organizations can generate revenues is that of the brokerage fee. Brokerage fee basically means that you are generating revenues by acting as an intermediary between the customer and the organization which is selling the products. Many of the organizations are using this very model in order to generate revenues. As I have given you this example in the previous slides as well, property dealers basically use brokerage fee as their main source of generating revenues. Then OLX also uses the very model in order to generate the revenues. Daraz.pk is also using the same model. Daraz.pk is acting as an intermediary between the sellers of the products and the buyers of the products. Another way of generating revenue that is becoming very common because of this increasing usage of internet is that of advertising. Many of the organizations and many of the websites which have lots of traffic over their on their platforms, they use advertising also as a model to generate revenues from that very websites. They give different areas of of their homepage to different organizations, where these organizations can put up their banners, they can put up their product pictures, and from that they are basically trying to generate their sales. In return, they are paying a certain amount of money to that very website in order to showcase their products and in order to advertise their products. Yahoo.co.uk is one of the organizations that use advertising model very efficiently. If you go to yahoo.com page, you would find lots of advertisements. You can find lots of organizations which are showcasing their products on their main web page. The sixth component of business model canvas is that of key resources. In the key resources section, we are basically going to discuss that what kind of resources we are going to require in order to not only to produce our products and services, but also to deliver our product and services and our value to the customers. So as I have told you that in this very section, we are going to discuss that what kind of resources we are going to use in order to deliver and develop our value proposition and the product and services that we are going to offer to the customers. So generally there are four types of resources that an organization require in order to deliver the value proposition. There are human resources, which includes all the employees. Basically employees bring in the skill sets and the intellectual property or the intellect and the leadership qualities that are required not only to run the organization but also to develop the product and services. Then the organization also requires financial resources. There is no organization in the world that will operate without finances. Organization do require money in order to conduct its daily operations. So how much money is required, how much finances is required is also discussed in the financial resources part. Then the organization also requires some intellectual property or intellectual resources. Intellectual resources basically means all the intangible informations and intangible resources that an organization has. For example, organization's brand image. Maybe if organization has certain copyrights, all of these are intellectual resources. A license that organization have. For example, for University of South Asia, one of the very major resources that we have is the charter from the HEC. This charter that we have is a very major resource, a very major intellectual resource due to which this organization is operating in a very efficient way. Then we also should have some physical resources. Every organization should have some of the physical and tangible resources through which it is going to operate. Every organization should have an office, or it should have a laptop, or some place from where that organization and the employees of that organizations are going to operate. So these are four different types of resources that you must list in your business model canvases that are very important for your organizations, that are human resources, financial resources, intellectual resources, and the physical resources. Then organization also needs to define that what are different key activities that it is going to perform. And in the key activities, basically the organization is going to define that what organization needs to do or what activities the organization needs to perform in order to not only develop or manufacture the product and services that they are going to offer, but also to deliver this product and services to the customers. So basically in this very section, the entrepreneur needs to develop a list of all the activities that he has to perform. He basically needs to perform activities not only in producing the value proposition that it has to offer, he also needs to list down the activities that he has to perform to maintain a customer relationship, to generate revenues, and to develop and to identify the customer segment that it is going to target. So there are lots of activities that organization needs to perform, and he has to list down all of those activities in this very section. And so as I have told you that in this section we are going to define that what are different type of activities this organization needs to perform. So basically all of those activities can be divided into three different categories. The first category of the activities are called the production activities or the production category. In this category, the organization needs to define that what activities they are going to perform in order to manufacture and then to deliver that very product or services to the customers. The second category or the second type of activities that organizations need to perform is that of the problem solving. Every organization faces problems and every organization faces new challenging environments on daily basis. So organization should have some way, some methodologies and some procedures through which it is going to tackle with all the uncertainties that it is going to deal with. Many of the organizations have very formal channels through which they are going to tackle the problem issues, how they are going to find solutions, how they are going to engage their customers, who is going to call the meeting, who is going to chair that very meeting in which which the problem solving should be held, should be clearly defined in your business model, and especially in your business model canvas. The third type of activities that organization needs to perform is that of the platform or network activities. Platform or network activities basically means that how you are going to engage with the customers. Here I have given you many examples in my previous slides as well. For example, Draaz.pk has created a platform that is a multi-sided platform that is not only helping the customers but also helping the sellers. On the other hand, Uber and Careem has also invested a huge sum of money in creating a platform that both customers and the drivers can use in order to reach to a transaction or in order to reach to an agreement. So the third activity that organization needs to focus upon is to create or generate that very platform through which it is going to communicate, it is going to engage with the customers. So the eighth component of the business canvas model is that of the key partners. And in this very component, we are going to discuss that how we are going to maintain the relationships with our partners. As you know that none of the organizations, they can operate without any partners. There is no organization in the world that has absolutely no suppliers, or they are not partnering with any other organizations. Every organization needs help of some other organization in order to generate and deliver the value to the customers. For example, even if you are a restaurant, you require an organization or a person to provide you with all the raw materials that you would be using as an input to produce all the food items that you are going to present or you are going to deliver in your menu. So there is no organization which can operate without having any partnerships with some third party or with some other organization. Here, Draaz.pk is another example of a partnership platform that sellers and customers both are using. There are lots of strategic partnership models that many of the organizations are using nowadays. One of the most common model of alliances that organizations are using is that of strategic alliances. Strategic alliances basically means that you are going to partner with a non-competitor. Even in Pakistan, we can find lots of examples of organizations that are engaging or they are learning from one another and they are taking advantages of each other customers basis. For example, quite recently, Telenor and National Bank of Pakistan have engaged themselves into a strategic alliance. The basic purpose of this strategic alliance is to improve the condition of microfinances in Pakistan and to improve and encourage the use of mobile transactions through mobile networks. Another partnership model that different organizations are using nowadays is that of co-opetition. In co-opetition, lots of organizations are basically engaging with its competitors and they are using multiple alliances and agreements in order to learn from their competitors. For example, when Toyota expanded into America, they basically went into an agreement with General Electric. They basically want to learn that how they are going to operate into the American market. And General Electric wanted to find out that how the Toyota Motors can generate and produce cars in a much more efficient way in a very less cost. And you must have also observed and you must have also visited many education expos. In those education expos, lots of foreign universities and local universities, they come together and they present their programs and they present their courses in front of the potential students. Do you think that a single university can organize such a huge event? The answer is no. All of these competitors, they come together, they pool in the resources so that they can arrange such an event so that they can reach to a wider range of their markets. Another model that many of the organizations use nowadays is that of joint ventures. In joint ventures, both of the organizations, they come together and they come up with some new innovative product or with a completely new organization. Here I can give you the example of Sony Ericsson. All of us have used or either heard of the mobile phones of Sony Ericsson. Sony Ericsson was basically a joint venture between Sony Corporation and Ericsson Corporation, and both of these organizations, they pooled in the resources and they came up with a new organization called Sony Ericsson, and collectively they started producing mobile phones and lots of electronic consumer products in order to reach to a wider range of customers. Another model that many of the organizations use nowadays is that of buyer-seller relationships. In buyer-seller relationships, you basically try to engage in a long-term relationship with your suppliers. So rather than having a one-time transactory relationship with your supplier, you try to develop a very long-term relationship. For example, if you have a restaurant and you require a certain amount of ingredients every day, so rather than paying your suppliers on daily basis, you can have a long-term relationship with that very supplier, and you can also make sure that that supplier is going to provide you with the right amount of ingredients in at the right amount of time, because you need those resources on daily basis. And it would also be beneficial for the supplier, because in shape of you or in form of you, the supplier is going to get a one confirmed customers on daily basis. The last component of the business model canvas is that of the cost structures. Cost structures basically means that where the organization is going to spend all the money that it is going to generate. In this very component, the organization needs to focus upon that what amount of money or what amount of cost is associated with all the activities that it is going to perform. As I've already discussed with you, that there are lots of activities that organization needs to perform in order to deliver the value proposition that it is trying to deliver. The organization needs to engage the customers, they need to develop a customer relationships, they need to develop a partner relationships, they need to make sure that all the ingredients and all the inputs are there in order to produce those products and services. So organization needs to have a very clear idea about what amount of money the organization requires in order to have a very smooth operations of those very businesses. In this very model, the organization needs to have that clarity in the books and in the mind of the entrepreneur, that what is the amount of money the organization requires in order to run the smooth operations of the organization. So this is basically what a business model canvas comprises of. We have discussed all of these 9 components that are right in front of you. We have discussed that the business canvas model includes the discussion on customer segments, the revenue streams, the distribution channels, the customer relationships, the offer or the value proposition, key activities, key resources, the cost structure, and the partnership networks. Now is the time to discuss some of the examples that we can find from our environment, so that you can learn that how you can develop your own business model canvases. So in order to develop your own business model canvases, you need to input the information in all of these 9 boxes. You can download this format and you can guess that what are your customer segments, what can be your key partners, what can be your key activities, what is the value proposition you are offering. Now let us discuss some of the examples that we can find from the market, so that you can have a better idea that how organizations are using this model in order to generate their business models. So the very first example that I'm giving you is an example of a very simple lemonade stall that a person is going to set up at some park. And I'm going to compare this business model with a business model of a very established company of that of a Skype. So this is a business model canvas for a lemonade stall. So Kelly's lemonade stall's customer segment is basically a park visitors. So Kelly has decided to set up a lemonade stall at a local park, and she has developed a business model canvas for the business that she is going to start. So the customer segment that she is going to target is that of the park visitors. All the visitors, all the people that are coming in the park are potential customers for Kelly. Then if you look at the relationships, the relationship that Kelly is going to maintain with the customers is that of a very personal sort. Kelly is going to stand in that very stall, and she is going to engage with the customers at a very personal level. Then the channel that Kelly is going to use to reach or to communicate with the customers is that of the booth selling. As I've told you that this is a lemonade stall or lemonade stand where the Kelly would be standing and she would be engaging in a very personal way with the customers. So the channel that she is going to use is a very personal booth selling channel. Along with that, she has also created a website that provides the information to the customers that what timings the stalls operate and what is the offering of this very stall. But the engagement with the customers is that of a very personal, and the channel is that very booth is the channel through which the Kelly is going to communicate or Kelly is going to engage with the customers. Then the revenue streams or the ways through which Kelly is going to generate the revenue is by selling the lemonades, or she can also get certain tips from some of the customers. The value propositions is that she is going to offer very cold, tasty, natural lemonade at that very stand. So that is the value proposition or a very unique thing or an offering that Kelly has, that she is going to offer all natural, cold, very refreshing lemonade to park visitors. If you look at the key activities, or what are all the activities that Kelly is going to perform, is that she is going to make that lemonade, then she is going to market and sell that lemonade. So these are three basic activities that Kelly needs to perform. Then if we look at the key resources basically means that what are all of these human, intellectual, financial resources that Kelly requires in order to make her business successful. So she requires ingredients to make lemonades, then she requires salespeople, or maybe in this case she herself is the sales personnel, and she requires a booth and equipments that she would be using in order to successfully sell those lemonades. And then if we look at key partnerships, so the key partnership that Kelly needs to maintain is that with the municipality or the park at which Kelly is going to set up the stall. That park or the park management needs to be on board when it comes to setting up a stall at that very park. So municipalities or the park management are one of the key partners of Kelly in this very case. The cost structure basically includes all the information regarding where Kelly is going to spend money on all the inputs that Kelly needs in order to generate or in order to run that business successfully. So Kelly needs to spend money on ingredients, she needs to spend money on salaries, she needs to spend money on equipments, and she also needs to spend money on some of the marketing activities. Maybe she wants to develop some flyers, maybe some posters, or some design work on her stall. So these are all the cost structures and cost areas where she is going to spend some of the money. So this is how you can actually develop your own business model canvases. As you can see, the Kelly's business model is a very simple one. Kelly has mentioned some of the key elements in all of the areas of this business canvas model in a very simple way. Now let's compare Kelly's business model with that of Skype's. If you look at the customer segments of Skype basically mentions that their customers are those people that are web users, or those people who want to make call through Skype or through online means. The relationship that Skype is going to maintain is that of mass customers. Skype does not want to maintain a very personal kind of a relationship with those customers. As you must have used Skype yourself, there is a very automated way. If you have any problem with Skype, there is no personal representative you can actually contact to in order to get your issue resolved. You can always go to some troubleshooting websites or different help areas that they have created on their websites in order to get the solution of your problem. Then the channel that Skype is basically using is Skype.com, and for its tangible products like headsets and other products that Skype produces, different retail outlets are basically their channels through which Skype is engaging with the customers. Then the value proposition that Skype is offering, the value or the offer that Skype is giving us is the opportunity to make free internet calls and video calling. So this is what Skype is offering. On the other hand, Skype is also offering cheap calls to phones and some tangible products as well. So this is what Skype is offering to the customers. Then the revenue streams. As I've told you before, revenue streams basically means that how Skype is generating the revenues. So Skype is basically generating revenues by Skype out prepaid or subscriptions. We have discussed this subscription model in our previous slides. So Skype is basically using a subscription model where you would keep on paying a certain amount of money in order to use premium services of Skype. Then what are some of the key activities Skype is going to perform? The main key activity that Skype is going to perform is that of developing softwares and to keep on improving that very software. Now, what are some of the key resources that Skype requires? The key resources that Skype requires are, number one, software developers. These developers are going to not only develop softwares for this Skype, but they are also going to improve all the existing softwares as well. So software developers and that very software that Skype is going to use in order to sell and market its services is going to be the key resources that Skype requires. Then if we look at the key partnership, the section of Skype's business model canvas, it comes the payment providers, how Skype is going to receive the payments, because I have told you the relationship is going to be very, very impersonal in nature. They are going for mass customer segments, so they are not engaging on personal level, which means that in order to generate the revenues or in order to make the payments, they need help of some other third party. In this case, Visa or different banks and PayPal is offering these services services to Skype through which customers can actually pay the subscription fee to the Skype. Another partnership networks is that of the distribution channels. As I've told you that nowadays Skype is also engaging and also expanding into some tangible products. So how they are going to distribute those tangible products, mainly headsets and other electronic products. So the distribution partners and distribution channels and wholesales that they are going to use are one of their key partners. Another major key partners that Skype requires in order to deliver their value proposition efficiently is that of telecommunication organizations, because I have told you that the one of the offering that Skype is giving us is the facility of making phone calls even through the internet. So Skype should have a very strong link with the telecommunication organizations. If telecommunication organizations are not allowing internet calls to their mobile networks, then Skype would never be able to offer this value proposition. So what is some of the cost structure of this Skype, or where this Skype is going to incur most of its costs? Skype is going to incur most of its cost in software development. In software development, they need to improve the existing softwares, and certainly they need to pay salaries to all the software developers that they are going to hire, and they also need to spend some money in the complaint management of the organization. Another two examples that I have developed for you to showcase that how organizations are using business model canvases in order to showcase their business models and in order to analyze that where they need improvements are that of Flickr and Jillet. I want you to go through these examples by yourself and let me know that whether you got the right understanding of how to use business canvas models or not. So the two more examples that I have developed for you are of Flickr and Jillet that are on the next slides. So as you can see yourself, this is a business model canvas for Flickr. Flickr is an online platform that provides us with all the facilities that we can use in order to share our photos and to save and record our photos online. Lots of other websites are also offering these kind of facilities, but one of the key features that Flickr offers is that it saves your photos in the same quality as they were taken. So I want you to go through this business model canvas and let me know that whether you have developed a better understanding of Flickrs or not. So another business model canvas that I want you to go through is that of Jillet. Every one of us is aware of Jillet organization. Jillet produces razors and men grooming equipments. So I want you to go through all of these components of the business model canvas of Jillet and let me know that whether you have developed a proper understanding of developing business models or not. So as you know that up till now we have not only discussed all the components of the business model, but we have also discussed that how different organizations are using canvas model format in order to generate their own business models. We have discussed the examples and we have discussed the 9 components. Now is the right time that you are going to generate your own business model canvases for your own business ideas. So in the next interactive session, every group is going to present their own business model canvases, and the time for this presentation is going to be just 1 minute. You need to be very brief when it comes to presenting your business model canvases, because that is the basic purpose of business model canvas, that it presents lots of information in a very short span of time. So in the next interactive session, this is one of the assignments that every group is going to present their own business model canvases. So what is beyond business model canvas, or what do we do once we have developed our business model canvases? Once we have developed business model canvases, we need to validate our business model. What is meant by validation? Validation basically means that up till now we have guessed that what should be our value proposition, what should be our customers, what can be our possible key activities or key resources that we require, what can be the possible cost structure or the revenue stream, but up till now we have not validated or we have not confirmed all of these different segments. How the validation is done, how we are going to confirm the information that we have posted on our business model canvases. For that, I would request you to refer back to my lecture on developing feasibility analysis. So the feasibility analysis that we have studied in the previous chapters basically provide us with all the information that we can use in order to not only validate but also to see that whether our business idea is viable or not. So this brings me to the end of today's lecture. In today's lecture, we have not only discussed the 7 remaining components of the business model, but we have also discussed all the examples that we can use in order to develop our better understanding regarding business model canvases. So in the next interactive session, I'm very excited to see all the business model canvases of your own business models, on your own business ideas and business plans that you have developed. Up till then, I want you to take very good care of yourself.